So we dropped a video on the channel 2 days ago that essentially talked about how, in my opinion, I believe that Young Thug, based off of Viverito's testimony, was going to basically get hit with the RICO and nothing else, and he would have walked away and would have been out on probation. I think that would have gave him 7, and I don't think that the judge would have did anything as far as more jail time. Like I said in the very beginning, like, hey, bro, this gonna go on so much that 5 years, you're talking about 60%, he's gonna walk home with time served. And I've been saying that from the jump, but it is what it is. So I just want to do this. I don't want to say nothing to the end. I want to pop in and pop out, and that way y'all can go ahead and judge it. So wrestle with this. I wrestled with how I wanted to put this together, and I think the best way to do it is to show Brian Steele's end of court words, basically, for Paige Reese Whitaker. I mean, the Honorable Judge Paige Reese Whitaker. I'm gonna pop up in the courtroom, and I don't want her to be pissed off. And we'll let Brian Steele do his 1-2 step, and then I'll play the Viverito clip, and then y'all let me know if y'all think what Brian Steele said was the truth.
All these people, this is a lie. This is a 100% lie, and that's why we tendered a no-low plea to being a leader of a criminal street gang. Mr. Williams is not a leader. In fact, if it would go forward, on Mr. Huey's phone, there are conversations with Mr. Copeland. And they both say how Jeffrey Williams is a zero, and F him. And they don't talk to him, and Jeffrey Williams never does anything for them. Mr. Huey, Mr. Williams met later. He met him closer in the time of 2020. Mr. Huey's father went through a horrible episode that Mr. Williams knew, and that's how Mr. Williams knew his son, who's Mr. Huey. And Mr. Huey's on hard times, and Mr. Huey's making mistakes. And Mr. Huey, supposedly, Mr. Williams believes, armed robbed a man named Chandler Durham, D-U-R-H-A-M. Mr. Durham is Mr. Williams. He's a fabulous record engineer. And Mr. Williams states, give him back, tell him to give back the property or he's going to die. The state puts that as an overt act. No one dies. The property doesn't get returned. Mr. Huey ignores Mr. Williams. The state told you today that Jeffrey Williams sent Mr. Huey a posting that Mr. YFM Lucci is going to be performing on January 19, 2020. That's not true. Mr. Huey sent that to whoever phone that was. And all it says is Slat and Slatty. Well, I went out to the places that Mr. Bennett was supposed to perform. There's no shooting. There was no fight. There was nothing to report. There's nothing here. In addition, the state says same thing on September 12th, September 2nd, 2022 on Mr. Huey's phone. I'm not conceding that was Jeffrey Williams even having a conversation with him, but even if it was, it doesn't show anything. It says Slatty, lay low. Lay low means don't do anything. Get out of the way. That is what it is. That is Mr. Williams' role. Mr. Williams, there is evidence in the record, and there would have been more. He takes people on tour with him. He takes people in the mall with him. But when they do crime or do things to people, for instance, there was a prostitute, and several people gave that prostitute money, $500. And the prostitute, at the end of the $500, getting $500 from several people, had sex with a person, and then she was armed robbed. So all the money came back. Mr. Williams wasn't involved in that, but he heard about it. He made those people find the prostitute and repaid her every dime. People stole from stores that Mr. Williams found about. He went to the stores and he repaid all that. He didn't steal anything. He doesn't need to steal anything. Your Honor, Mr. Williams stands with Elton John. Elton John called Mr. Williams the next coming of John Lennon.
Now, one thing that this channel, I don't want to say pride itself because I'm not a prideful individual and I don't really care about ego, but one thing you guys will do is you will hold the narrator of the channel, aka me, to a high standard to say, hey, he actually didn't say this and he didn't say that. So I wrote this down, all right? Brian Steele said that basically Marquavius Huey ignores him, which basically puts him out of leadership contingent because nobody listens to Mr. Williams. So there's that. He said that Huey sent messages and all Thug said was lay low. Okay? And he said he's not willing to concede that that's even his phone number. And that basically nothing happened at those spots. That doesn't matter, but I'll say this to the end of the video. Then he said, hey, because this is more than likely going to come out on Monday. I'm damn near willing to bet at least maybe $3 or $4. I don't really have money like y'all do. So I'm going to bet a couple of dollars that, hey, and I'm not talking about hundreds. I'm actually talking like $3 to $4. Like really $3 to $4. I'm willing to bet that prostitution robbery is going to come out on Monday. Then he also said that he made them basically go return and pay the money, which conflicts his original thing saying that Mr. Huey doesn't listen, because if Mr. Huey is part of the prostitution robbery, well, you just contradicted yourself. And you can only tell people what to do and they listen if you're an authoritative figure, aka leadership. But I want y'all to see what the state laid out. And then I want you to give your opinion on if Brian Steele proved his point, or if you believe, as I did in my previous video, which I will link at the bottom, that, hey, bruh, I think the state might have made the case that Young Thug participated in the conspiracy part of the RICO. Check it out.
Specifically, on this slide, do you see a message with an individual by the name of Javon Fleetwood?
I do.
And are you familiar with that individual?
I am.
And how are you familiar with that individual?
He's a member of YSL.
Okay. And as a part of your investigation, have you had the occasion to investigate a shooting involving Mr. Fleetwood, where he is been charged with aggravated assault?
Yeah, I wasn't the lead investigator, but I had a chance to review the investigation.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to prep that case for trial at any point?
I did.
Right. What were the charges that he was preparing for to go to trial on?
I believe it was aggravated assault.
Okay. And do you know the approximate date of the incident in which he was being charged with?
I believe it was May 10th of 2019.
And in that May 10th, 2019, was there a vehicle associated with that ag assault?
There was.
Well, we haven't heard it yet, but avoid hearsay.
Yes. As a part of your investigation, when you were investigating that case for trial.
I'm going to take the hearsay.
Don't elicit hearsay,
I want to listen hearsay.
because right now it sounds like she's testifying as a fact witness, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Did you get social media account from Mr. Fleetwood?
I didn't obtain records for it, but I reviewed some posts from his account.
From his public account?
Correct.
And have you had the opportunity to view those posts prior to your testimony today?
I have.
And is that Mr. Fleetwood?
That is
Okay. And what was his Instagram name?
_TV World.
And I want to zoom into his face. Do you see any tattoos? Do you see any tattoos on Mr. Fleetwood's face?
I do.
And specifically, do you see the tattoo with the star?
I do.
What is the tattoo next to the tattoo with the star?
So down the right side of his face by his temple, you'll see he has YSL tattooed on the right side of his face.
Now I want to go to this conversation that starts on February 25th, 2020.
Okay.
Who is Mr. Huey speaking with?
Mr. Williams using his Los Angeles area code phone number.
And looking at this post, generally, what is the context of this text message conversation?
He sends a social media post of somebody else to Mr. Williams and says, "What's up with him? Is he cool?"
Okay. And then what was his next message to Mr. Williams' phone?
He's inquiring if the gentleman is cool, it looks, because he says he posted that racial expletive, Bloody J.
And are you familiar with that name or individual, Bloody J?
Yes.
Okay. And are you aware if he's associated with any gang?
Yes.
What gang is that?
He's associated with the YFN, or Atlanta Blood Gang, criminal street gangs.
And do you know Bloody J's given name?
Yes, it's Justin Ushery.
And have you had any investigation involving Mr. Ushery?
I have.
And then did Mr. Williams respond to his to Mr. Hugh's inquiry?
He says, "Who is that?" To which Mr. Huey responds, "Duct Tape Dave."
And are you familiar with the individual by the name of Duct Tape Dave?
Yes.
How are you familiar with that name?
He's a pretty prominent guy within the duct tape criminal street gang.
Okay. And then was there a response to that?
It was.
Oh, what was that?
Mr. Williams says, "He's a buster too." To which Mr. Huey responds, "Slat." And he tells Mr. Williams, "I told him, fuck them, racial expletive. He hit me back laughing and shit."
Now I want to go to a tweet that begins on March 12th, 2020.
Okay.
Now, what is going on within this group of text messages on March 12th, 2020?
Mr. Williams initiates a conversation with Mr. Huey.
Okay. And what does Mr. Williams say in his initiation?
What y'all got going on?
Okay. And then is there a response?
He says, "Them, racial expletive, no, I ain't play no part in that slime."
All right. And then is there a response from Mr. Williams back to Mr. Huey?
He says, "Take that shit back."
And is there a response from Mr. Huey back to Mr. Williams?
Mr. Huey says, "I ain't get nothing out of it. I ain't even pull no gun on nobody. I'm finna tell them though."
All right. And does he make another response?
He said, "I told them I ain't finna do that shit. He went on and did it. I couldn't stop him."
And then does Mr. Williams respond to that?
Mr. Williams says, "If he don't take it back, he's gonna die."
And looking at this text message, without going into detail, were you aware of any police reports around this event of March 12, 2020?
Objection, I hear so.
Overruled.
Were you aware of any police reports regarding any incidents around this date?
I was.
Okay. Now, I want to go to 227 VV2B. And in looking at 227 VV2B, was there a text message on November 14, 2021?
There was.
Okay. And who sent the message?
Mr. Huey sends the message to Mr. Williams' LA area code phone number.
Okay. And what does the message say?
It says, "You know, I'm ready to handle the business and go sit down if I got to about any one of y'all on my mama."
And who is depicted in this picture?
That's going to be Mr. Huey standing with Mr. Williams.
And is there a caption?
There is.
What's the caption?
It reads, "From lockdown to a jet, slap biz."
And is there a date to that post?
September 4th.
Now, in looking at Mr. Huey's phone, we talked about there being this ongoing beef with YFN since about 2015. And in Mr. Huey's phone, there is information about Mr. Huey going to go handle business and sending those flyers.
Correct?
Between 2019 and 2020, was there any ongoing conflict or continuous ongoing conflict between YFN and YSL?
Yes.
Now, I'm going to sit here and let y'all marinate on that one because in all candor, I want to see what y'all type and what y'all write. I have an idea that some of y'all, and no disrespect to y'all, it's all love, some of y'all will say no matter what, Young Truly Humble under God did nothing wrong and all of that stuff, and the state wasn't going to find him guilty of all of that stuff that they were alleging that he did, and that he was the big fish, like Lil Woody said, and that the state just wanted him, and they told him, just give us the big fish. You a little fish. We need the big fish, the big kahuna, if you will. And so if that's the case, as you're typing what you're typing, all right, cool. So there's that. Now I'll give y'all a minute to type. Come on. Y'all know they caught his ass dead to rights. Come on. Y'all know that. Bruh, that right there, in my opinion, would have got Young Thug out the way. And I put in the beginning of the Brian Steele part on purpose because I didn't leave it out on purpose. I just forgot to, and I forgot to address this in my previous video that's pinned in the comments. The no-low prize basically makes sure that Young Thug isn't held civilly. Now let's understand something. Let me give y'all a little background real quick, and it only take like 30 seconds. You can be basically charged civilly or criminally. Civilly has to do with finances, feria, money, dinero, orale. Criminal mean your ass going to jail. We just got to figure out how much time you're going to get as far as the state guidelines have. Civil money, criminal jail. The no-low price gets Young Thug out of there civilly. That's a W. I don't care how, whatever the hell I say, and anything like that, even though I said, yeah, I believe that the founder's ass guilty of the RICO, that don't matter. That part does not matter. Because at the end of the day, you can't sue us civilly because of what we agreed to. And Thug pleaded that he didn't have a gun and he didn't sold some drugs. Or basically drug possession. That's it. They made sure to get that gang shit out of here. And that's the biggest W. And that's why I'm trying to tell y'all. Thug getting that plea deal was a good thing. Because I believe they did prove that shit. Brian Steele did not tell the whole truth. And if y'all want to say, no, he did, rewind that damn clip, listen closely, tell the truth. And even if you don't want to tell the truth, all right, cool. Then take this truth, that the families affected cannot sue Jeffrey Williams. That's what you want. Hold on to the money. Y'all got to give me back my shit. They done stole Lil Jeff cars. Y'all said they done stole his watch. They ain't giving that shit back. They done stole his money. It is alleged that they've taken tens of millions of dollars of Young Thug's money. And thankfully, he got some homeboys that got real bread, so they don't mind dropping him off 100 to 2 million. Shout out Drake. I don't care. I still rock with Drake. I still rock with Drake. I don't care. I like Kendrick Lamar and all that stuff. But, man, look, Drake was the music of my 20s in the club and riding in the car and everything. Drake had me drinking and driving. You got dang right. Yeah, I rock with Drake. I don't care. Even though they did start it. Yeah, that Jodeci freestyle, that started the beef. It wasn't Kendrick Lamar started the beef, but whatever. So, yeah, I think once they see that, and Brian Steele kind of laid it out to him, Brian Steele in his heart of heart believe that they can beat it. I think Young Thug was thinking, shit, I want to believe you, Brian. I really do. But I can go see my kids after all the stuff that has happened to them since I've been in here. Not just because y'all got to realize, the stuff that happened to Young Thug didn't just happen to him. It happened to his family. It happened to his kids. So we had to put that in there when we're doing these things as far as trying to criticize what you can't understand, because some of y'all are new to this and it's not an indictment against you. I'm just telling you, Young Thug lost a baby mama, was killed. Unfortunately, I'm really not going to say the reason why. I'll probably bring the person on here to kind of explain what happened that night. But yeah, bro, you have that part that exists. Then on top of that, bro, you had his son talking about unaliving himself. And what is it, Lil Gotti? I think that's what his name is. Lil Gotti went and got him, so shout out to him. But y'all got to remember, these kids is missing their daddy. You grew up in the hood, you missing a father and stuff like that. And if you had an active father and then he disappeared for a couple of years, y'all don't think that might affect them children? I'm fairly certain it did. I'm fairly certain that Young Thug, and I ain't talked to him or nothing like that, or I don't talk to them people over there or anything, but I'm fairly certain, just out of me and my head, his kids is wondering, and probably laying to him at times, when you coming home, how long you think this gonna be, and all this stuff. And when I went in that courtroom, what I will say, I've only been in there 3 times, but what I will say is, it don't look like none of this stuff is affecting Young Thug. It feel like he was the rod for the family, the emotional barometer, because he had to sit there, stand tall, and not let it look like he affected him. But I can tell you this, I guarantee you, he'd have cried in that cell. Shit. Y'all better talk to some of y'all OGs or some of the people who went to prison or went to jail for a very long time. You're going to cry in that cell. You're going to tear it up. And especially being denied that many times, and no matter what the hell happens, the state can't get a mistrial because they do so much wrong shit. You have to look at it in its totality. Well, you don't have to. You really don't have to. You can stick to your guns. Be like, nah, F you, Seti Nash. This how I'm rocking. Young Thug was innocent. You full of shit. Shut up. All that stuff. All right, that's cool. You welcome to their opinion over here. But I'm going to tell you, I think it finally got to him, and when he seen a way out, and like I had pleaded in a previous video, saying I know it's going to be a felon and stuff like that, his family did not want him to take that, especially his mama. His mama did not want him to become a felon and all that stuff, but you do get the First Offenders Act, so he won't be a felon for that long. He'll apply for it. He'll be all right. But the money part of this shit, it would have been horrible to see Young Thug come out and basically go right back in the courtroom just to be screwed over. And we talking about losing tens of millions of dollars, and now he got to hire more lawyers, spend more money. Just gonna put it out there for y'all. But if you don't want to believe it, you don't have to. That is your choice. But at least I laid out what I believe would have screwed Young Thug over in the end. So I don't fault him for taking the plea deal, because the more I think about it, the more I realize, shit, he kind of got saved a little bit, because he would have needed a not guilty on everything. And if he would have been found guilty just on one, that would have screwed him over. But share to keep your people aware, subscribe, turn the bell, stay notified. We dropped a video, and I told you I was going to take an L on it, but that was for the people, bruh. So the 30,000 individuals that watched it, posted, I know this is going to get way more views than that. I appreciate y'all. So if you can, hit the like button if you want to. If you want to make this video grow, for whatever reason, YouTube is heavy on the likes. I don't know why, but we didn't drop videos. We didn't get a bunch of likes, and it didn't matter. So if you're seeing this, cool. YouTube hasn't booted you out of the Seti Nash algorithm. And if you rocking like I know y'all do, I appreciate you. Enjoy your Sunday, and I hope your NFL team loses.